Good morrow to you all. You have fallen on barred times.
Brought to you by RHUL Shakespeare Society.
You've joined me, Cassie Dixon.
And me, Jack Hardman, as we bear some bardy truths. Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to Bard Times. This is your host, Jack Hardman, and today I'm joined by the lovely Heath and Esme. Say
Hello.
hi, guys.
Hello.
How are you both?
Oh, lit.
Good. Very good. The sun's shining a little bit.
Yeah,
Spring's on its way.
Spring is on its way. We're out of the dark times, hopefully. Fingers crossed. So, today you are here to talk about your show, Little Prince. I've got to ask, how do you think that's going?
Really well. So, so if you don't know, we are currently producing a audiobook of The Little Prince, which is a French children's novel. Obviously, we're not doing it in French, but it is. It'll be wonderful. It's going really well. We've got around 20 something students from the uni being our narrators, and we're just about finishing all the rehearsals for them, and they'll start recording at home. We've got artists on the go creating some art for us. We've got Heath, who's head of music, about to start doing some lovely music. And we've also got a group of Italian students in Italy. We've been linked with an Italian secondary school in the north of Italy, and
that's so cool.
It's really cool. They've got about, I think, 30-ish students that really want to get involved. So they're doing a little bit of reading for us because they're learning about it in their English class.
That's
so they're doing
amazing.
In English. Yeah, it's so cool. It's so exciting. And
how was that set up? How was that organised?
It was kind of accidental. So I lived in Italy for a year in my gap year before I came to uni because I was an au pair. And the family that I lived with, I'm still in contact with. I'm supposed to be visiting them every year, but obviously haven't been able to.
Yeah.
And they saw that on my Facebook, Drama Sock had announced that they were doing The Little Prince. And they got in touch with me and said, Esme, the child that I looked after is learning about it in her English class.
Yeah.
So and they said, is there any way that we can link you up and you can work with them, because I worked in the schools over there anyway. And they got me in touch with one of the teachers, and it's really exciting. So we've got all of these Italian students from
that sounds wonderful.
It's really exciting.
Absolutely incredible. Obviously, you've had this opportunity to work with this school. What made you decide to do The Little Prince in the first place, though? So, was there anything that kind of drew you guys to, or how did you pick that? Yeah, how did you pick that play?
I think it was kind of born through this idea. The drama committee this year, we really wanted to focus on this idea of being as collaborative as possible. We've done projects like the Drama Society haven't done before. We've done a classics play. We did Iphigenia.
Yeah, I'm aware.
Yeah, yes, you are aware. We are still in the works with our show Paradigm of the Unhappy Circle, which we've been making in collaboration with Art Society, and it was this Little Prince just presented this amazing opportunity to get as many people involved as possible, really, because when we were kind of realized that maybe committee would have to take the reins this term, we didn't want to be like, okay, well then let's just let committee do it. So we've really tried to expand as much as possible, and Esme has always been very keen on kind of committee being that kind of vessel to like allow as much creativity as possible, and this was just the perfect project for that.
Mate, I hope I'm not overstepping by saying this. I think what you've done, both of you with Drama Sock this year, has been really amazing to see, because it's like you guys have widened out. I think especially doing like Iphigenia and the way you guys have been approaching like joint projects and joint socials and things like that has actually been amazing to see. Because obviously there is a weird dichotomy with having specific things like Shakespeare, like us, and then having drama, where it's like, oh, well, what's the difference there? But then it's like you guys have made that the difference by going like, oh, well, we are like, we're everything, and we're going to share stuff with everyone. We're going to work with everyone because that makes sense. It's just it's just it's a really nice thing to see. It's just a really nice thing to see. But is there anything from the Little Prince, as in the story of the Little Prince, that made you guys choose that in particular?
I think it's a lovely story. It's really sweet, and I think because one of our committee members brought it forward, so then and then we had a little read of it, and the thing that really kind of stood out for me is the celebration of the little things, and actually kind of the whole thing is about realizing, you know, what you have is so special, even if you don't see it because it's kind of every day. And I think that's so important at the moment, with everyone kind of stuck in their little bubbles, in their planets, as it were, Prince planets, and kind of stuck in their own kind of little worlds. I think it's really, really important to kind of think of, I don't know, to think and to admire the things around you and just the little things, and to really kind of appreciate it, because it is, it's hard at the moment. I just think it's the perfect, because it's not too hard hitting. It's just sweet and innocent and hopefully uplifting. So
I actually, that theme of kind of working in your own little world, and like that's so well fitted to the whole COVID struggle. Like, well, what do you do when you're in the same room all day? Yeah.
Totally.
So obviously, with this play, you guys aren't. Correct me if I'm wrong here. You guys aren't. You don't have set directors. You have like, it's more of a kind of collaborative piece between the actors themselves, and then it's you guys are more like executive, like crew members. Correct me if I'm wrong here.
We have so we've had the in my opinion, the amazing George Collins involved, not biased, and what they've been doing is something really wonderful. They haven't been kind of directing as per se. They've been having meetings with our narrators and essentially giving them a toolbox of just ideas that they can take with them, and they've instead tried to really facilitate our narrators developing their own kind of style of narrating in their own voice. So every narrator is going to be this kind of a different style of narrating and a different way of voice acting. It's been really fun to see. We've also had Esme speaking to our narrators as well.
Yeah, I think when George and I had an initial meeting about how we were going to do it and how we're going to tackle kind of directing, as it were, we kind of agreed that we wanted it to almost be kind of this big, almost scrapbook audiobook. So it's all going to sound, each section will sound different. We're going to have some children's voices. The visuals will be various art forms, hopefully, some by children and some by students here. So I think it's just been a really fun process, and in fact I had a one-on-one kind of rehearsal-y talk with George today, and it was just so lovely, because at the end we've kind of been talking to all of the narrators, and then finally we kind of had one together, and it's been more kind of discussions rather than directing, which has been really nice and really refreshing, because you get all the ideas from the narrators themselves as well.
Wait, is it almost like the role of a dramaturg rather than a director?
Yeah, I would say so, and being really open to people's ideas, and if they have kind of an idea not to kind of bat that down, like I think there's a couple of people that are thinking of potentially doing a couple of lines in French and things like that,
Yeah.
and not saying no to it, just being like, yeah, of course, give it a go.
Yeah.
You know?
It's more of a collaborative project rather than, because I think shows, it's safe to say that shows are like compartmentalized into like, okay, this is this person's role, this is their role, they do nothing else than this role. But this is more of a kind of like everyone does a bit, everyone does.
Yeah.
It's good to see that that's working though, because that sounds like a really interesting thing to be a part of. So obviously with this whole kind of scrapbook idea and opening it up to just being almost a showcase for, especially along with ArtSoc, like being a showcase for lots of different pieces of kind of artwork and voice acting and music. I was just wondering, so was that always the concept? Did you guys go into it with that, or did it become that? Like, did you go into it with, we're going to put a lot of kind of not contradicting but slightly conflicting ideas next to each other and just see what happens? Or is it like it's become that?
I think that was always it was always the idea in a way, because we deliberately went into it very open.
Yeah.
Because it's not as if we bid the show with a concrete idea. We kind of like had a few discussions in committee, and then decided to just get a group of people together, kind of put a call out for people who are interested, get a group of people together and see what happens, basically. So yeah, so we've got most people who came forward decided to be narrators, but also we said you can also be an artist, you can be a musician, you can be an editor. So we've got a group of editors as well. So how we kind of went about it was we've got a few committee members who are kind of the head of a section. So for example, Heath is kind of the head musician, but we've got musicians who came forward wanting to be involved, who are going to be working with Heath. Yeah, and we're still in that process. So we've kind of like done the collaborative narrating part now, but we're now going on to kind of the art and the music, which is going to be really interesting.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see what comes out of that.
Yeah. It's me and the musicians are having our first meeting today.
Really?
I'm very, very excited.
That sounds amazing.
I mean, it's exciting because the people that have come forward to offer their music are so talented, and it's this kind of I don't want to. I'm very keen on I know they know what they're talking about, and they know I know what I'm talking about, kind of thing. And it's really exciting, and that's we've been kind of trying to do that a lot, like with Unseen as well, which you can still submit to.
Oh yeah, no. Everyone look out for Unseen. Well, this is going out next week, so I don't know whether would it still be open at that point?
Yeah, why not? I don't know. But you can submit an audition. You can certainly submit an audition. And we've been trying to do the last time it was Unseen Unleashed. This time it's the Pools Unseen. This and Unseen is trying to be as collaborative as possible as well. And I think it's nice to see that being translated to our other projects as well, and just basically just being like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I've got to say though, when you guys released your thing in first term, where you were like, if you've got an idea, come to us. I love that. I think more societies should do that. Obviously, it's slightly different when you're doing something like a radio play, because you don't need to rent a space, you don't need to spend hundreds of pounds renting out the SU or anything like that. So why not? Like, what are you losing in doing that? And you get to see some incredible projects that you may not have otherwise seen, like Ifjaniah, or like this. Heath, I I know you have a background in music in general, and have honestly, some of the original pieces that I've heard of yours, I've listened to of yours, have honestly blown me away. Man, you've got a talent. It's honestly
Oh my gosh,
incredible.
I'm blushing.
Good. No. I was just wondering what kind of role music has in this upcoming piece, and what is there kind of an overarching style that you? I mean, obviously, you've literally just said you have your first meeting with them today. Are you approaching it with something in mind, or not?
Well, I know for a fact because some of the musicians have messaged me saying, that they've already started thinking of ideas, which is extremely exciting, and I'm really looking forward to hearing them. I think I'm a huge fan of music that complements things, and I think like Debussy is my favorite composer of all time, and even though at the time he rejected the idea, but calling him an impressionist musician, this kind of
Yeah.
music that creates an idea or something, is what I really want to go forward with this. I think because obviously there's the story is the main thing, and we don't want to detract from that, and so
Yeah.
I'm extremely looking forward to it. It's not going to be one particular style, I don't think. Like my stuff is piano. I compose on the piano, and that's pretty much it. But we have other musicians who are extremely talented with creating electronic music, with orchestrating things, with mixing things. I'm hoping to get maybe some nice vocals in the background, and I'm just very, very excited. This is the first time I've ever kind of directed music for a thing before, so
Yeah.
it'll be a learning experience for me as well. And I feel extremely confident in our team because our team is really, really strong and really amazing. So yeah, definitely excited.
Good. Well, is it going to be like, because obviously with this with the art style you said, and with some of the voice acting, it's like it's almost the scrapbook style of like, okay, well, there's going to be this very distinct thing, then this very distinct thing, then this very distinct thing, and the overarching narrative is kind of supplemented by different styles and tones and stuff.
Yeah.
But how does that then relate to the music? Is it going to be there's like a through line? Is it going to be I music terms? Here we go. This is it going to be like there is a kind of an overarching like tone to it, or is it going to be very distinct pockets?
My hope is to keep some kind of coherent idea. I'm very keen on, obviously this is a children's book, it's playful, it's fun, and that's what I want the music to be. I don't want to start making like grand symphony. Yeah, it might be a bit intense. I don't want like an LCD sound system kind of thing. But but Esme has told me that some of the narrators have ideas for what they think will complement their style that they're developing the best. So that's another thing to think of, and another thing to kind of to collaborate on. I definitely don't want to submit to our editor, be like, this is our 1.5 hour piece that we've made the whole thing. It's definitely going to be different pieces.
Yeah.
Definitely going to be a soundtrack, if that's the right term to use.
Yeah.
And it's going to be different styles, definitely.
Yeah, because I know talking to obviously music for this kind of thing is so different to doing music for like a normal play. Cause I was talking to Matteo when he was working on your show Iphigenia, and he was saying, for people that don't know, he was the MD on that show, and he was saying that for that he had to create something, then listen to us record it on like the rehearsal thing, then listen to it again, then change it and morph it, and like basically with what the actors were giving, he would have to kind of mold it and change it, and it came out in the quite frankly incredible thing that it did,
It's amazing.
through just an incredible amount of labor towards like molding it into fitting what he was given. And is it going to be a similar thing like that? Is it going to be like you take a little bit, you mold it, then you give it back, and then they mold it, and then you take it, then they mold it again? Is it more like that, or is it more like, here, have my
No,
here's
that's
your
certainly
music,
going.
stick to it?
Yeah, that's certainly going to be what the process is like, which is why we're kind of I was hesitant to kind of start having meetings with musicians kind of at the start of the process and having it kind of around nowish, because we now have a much clearer idea of what the show's going to be and actually what we're making. And I think we need to know. I mean, for the basics, we need to know how long the musician needs to last. We need to know what kind of styles. But yeah, it's definitely going to be a matter of kind of having our overarching ideas, maybe making a couple things, and then listening to the narrator, and then deciding which bits go where. And it's definitely going to be a back and forth between the narrators and the musicians, definitely.
Okay, so Esme, I know that you recently did a piece with Matt B with Student Workshop, which talked about the relationship between people and technology, and I was wondering where you stand on the increasing kind of technological takeover of theatre throughout this COVID environment, because obviously everything's been moved online. Streaming services have been set up for shows and stuff like that. I was wondering what your opinion is towards that regarding that play that you did.
Yeah, I'm really, really torn with my relationship with technology, which is why I keep on writing pieces and things to do with technology. In fact, I was reflecting on it this morning, thinking, why is every single thing I've written this year being to do with technology in some form? Because obviously it's controlling my life at the moment. And I just find it fascinating. And I think the theatre industry has adapted incredibly. And I think there are obviously a lot of negatives. Like, I miss live theatre, being in the room so much, but I think there are so many positives that have come out of it. And I've seen and created pieces that I would have never have done before. And I think it does, especially for Drama Society, actually, it's opened up so much more, because we would never have thought about doing an audio drama or an audio book or anything like that. And we have the Untitled Monologues at the moment, which is based on the Vagina Monologues, and has collected lots of stories from different people around the university and has put it together, and then are filming it in almost like interview type things. Like, there was nothing before this year that said that we couldn't do that. There was nothing that said that societies, like performing arts societies, couldn't do kind of online shows. But now, because we kind of have to, it's opened so many more opportunities and so many more things, which is what I tried to say at the beginning of the year when we did put out that statement. That's what we were trying to emphasize, was don't see this as limiting. Actually see that it opens up so many more things that you could be doing. And it is incredible, the things that people have been creating this year. I've been so impressed in every single society and beyond in the wide world. I think it is amazing. I think it's amazing. And I'm sure it's changed societies and the performing arts industry in general, I think, forever. And not in a bad way necessarily at all. I'm trying to see the positives in things.
No, because obviously it has, like, everyone's taken a bit of a hit this year. Less societies, like I think everyone is struggling to kind of reach more people than we would have usually, because of this and because of obviously the struggles with being at uni and not having things where you can reach out to first years. I know that's been a big thing for all societies on campus, is struggling to kind of reach out to first years.
It's been tricky.
And I think you are absolutely right with, like, it's almost like, the way I think of it is almost like with evolution, if it's like it's a pressure you put on something, so you have to change in order to survive. And that's kind of what what a lot of the societies on campus, a lot of the performing arts societies particularly, have been doing is we completely changed. I know for us, obviously you guys were the first people to do an audio drama, which was an incredibly brave. Wow, I think brave. Is that does that underplay it? I think brave is the right word, to kind of go out and be like, yeah, we're gonna create some theatre. Like, this is what we're gonna do. And I yeah, and some of the stuff that people are creating, the show with MTS at the moment is very very interesting. Fame. I'm very looking forward to seeing that. And obviously what you're doing right now, what we're doing with Hamlet, which is again something completely different. Listen to our episode last week if you want to hear more about that with Kate. Little plug. But it is an interesting question to see how this has affected things and how now technology is creeping into everything a little bit more. My question is to you both is, do you think that this change is permanent, or do you think that when COVID begins to lift, we're going to stop seeing so many audio dramas and things like this when it all goes back to normal bidding and normal shows being put on?
I don't know. I think I certainly like to think it's permanently changed things like Unseen, because last term, Esme made an amazing audio drama. Sam Stevens made a little this amazing kind of play that was somehow a film, and I could figure it out, and it was so clever. And then George made a film. I certainly like to think that when we go back into the world, that Unseen will be able to have that kind of quality. I like to think that people will now think, oh, I could make a film for Unseen, or I could present some photography with some music that I made, rather than just being like, oh, I have to write the scene for 2 actors.
Yeah, I have to do a comedy bit for yeah.
Exactly.
Which has its merit, by the way. I don't want to sound like I'm disparaging, exactly. But yeah, no, I think it is an interesting question to see whether it is going to change everything in the future. Because I like to think that we're still going to see audio dramas and things like that, and very much along with what the sentiment that you guys kind of pioneered of, if you've got an idea, come to us with it.
Yeah.
Like talking to Lolly Hayes, who is the president of MPA, she was saying something very similarly to what you guys put out, which was, if you have an idea, come to us about it and we'll see what we can do with it. And I think that having that as kind of a sentiment moving forwards is, I think, better, and it restricts people. Better obviously is a subjective term, in my opinion.
I certainly think that COVID has, not that committees didn't know this before, but has certainly reinforced this idea for committees that we are for our members. It is not. This isn't. Esme is not this little puppet master over Drama Society. Is kind of controlling everything. It is very much a back and forth. Kind of
with facilitators. It's like I couldn't agree more. I think that was I think that is something that a lot of the societies this year have really grasped onto. And I think it's a change and a realization for the better. Obviously, the news of the week this week is the fact that there are committee elections coming up soon. And my question is to you guys, what do you think people need to prepare or need to think about before going into those committee elections? Because obviously you guys have both, Heath, you're on multiple committees, and Esme, you have been on committee a few times now. So both of you have gone through this process more than once. Is there anything that stands out as something that would you need to nail down if you're going to run?
I think just I'm trying to think how to word this without making it sounding negative, but I mean, it's hard work. It is hard work, but so I think what you really need to think about is, and especially if you're thinking about maybe kind of which committee, if you're thinking of maybe going for multiple, is you have to really, really care, because it is hard work, but it's also so exciting, and it's the best feeling in the world being able to kind of give opportunities to people. So yeah, I think for example, like you may have to do speeches, so just talk about why you want that role, and I don't know what you'd bring to it, and why is this society special to you? Because I think that is the most important thing that you can bring, is enthusiasm and positivity.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think that was definitely good. I echo Esme's sentiment. I think my biggest advice is to love your society first, and I think everything else will fall into place. I'm also on the committee for the Holloway Players, and the role I'm the treasurer, and a role I never thought I would be I would be doing, having loathed maths. But it's actually so much fun. It's so rewarding to be able to be like Esme said, be able to just say, yeah, let's do this or let's do that. And I think if you really, the reason I wanted to join committees was because I wanted to be able to give the opportunities that I had received from that committee to other people, and I wanted to be a part of those decisions. And the reason why I ran for VP of drama is because I fell in love with Unseen, and that is something I really wanted to be a part of as well. So I think, find those maybe your niches in the society that you really love, it is hard work, but it's definitely worth it.
I think it's worth saying as well that it's not really scary running for committee, and it's not kind of, I think people kind of hype it up as this really serious kind of professional thing that happens. If you have any questions, or even want to kind of have a call with one of the committee members, just talk through what that role is, to see if you're interested, maybe get even some advice or tips. I'm sure I'm speaking for all of committee, haven't asked them. I'm sure everyone wouldn't mind kind of helping you. So get in touch with either the page or any one of us individually, and we're so happy to help, because we want people to be part of it. We don't want people on committee.
Exactly.
No, I think that is something that I noticed before, because obviously I was co-opted into being social sec, but I think one of the biggest things for me applying was I actually went out and I talked to the previous president, Conor McLennan, the current president, Dom, and Sophie Barton, the last social sec, and I say that last year's social sec, and just talked to them about the job, got an idea of it, and realized, this sounds fun. Also, I wouldn't have got to do like this podcast without being social sec. So if you're thinking, obviously there is the selfless idea of like you are doing it for other people to allow and facilitate, and that's amazing, and it's especially if you love the society that you're doing. Also, if you want it for selfish reasons, you get to run the things you want to run. If you're social sec, you get to run socials you enjoy. You want to play some D&D, do a D&D event. And that's just so basically run. If you're confused, ask questions. But yeah, we want a committee next year. Everyone wants a committee next year. So do not be afraid to ask people about it. They're not going to bite your head off.
Yeah, definitely.
That's our 2 cents on it. Right. Well, So I do this every week, so I do have to ask you both an incredibly important question. I hate to get deep for a second. What's your favourite Shakespeare play?
Oh, goodness.
Okay, let me pretend to think.
I pretend.
This
Purely-
whole section is just to justify this being part of Shakespeare Society. By the way, this whole.
I have my answer purely because it's more out of nostalgia than anything, because it was one of the first primary school plays I was in.
Oh right, okay.
And then I was also in a modern adaptation when I was like 13, and I've also written kind of my own versions of it as well.
Wow.
Is A Midsummer Night's Dream.
Oh yeah.
I'm a big fan of fairies and magic and things, so it's just, I love it. I
feel like, I don't know, I always feel nervous because I feel like it's kind of a basic answer, but like mine is Hamlet.
Yeah.
100%. I think my Ophelia is probably one of my favourite Shakespeare characters of all time. My favourite line in Shakespeare is when she says, I would give you some violets, but they withered all when my father died. It makes me want to cry every time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I same as Esme, kind of studied it and was in it when I was like 8 and didn't know what was going on, and then and then studied it at school, and then me and George have made kind of films. We made one for the Shakespeare Film Festival in the summer, based on our kind of ideas around Ophelia and gender bending and everything like that. And we're going to be writing our own play on that as well, which will hopefully.
That's very exciting.
Oh well, beyond now, and yeah. So that's Hamlet is definitely my favourite.
Well, thank you both for joining me this week for Bard Times. Thank you, Heath and Esme, for being here as well. Thank you so much. This has been Jack Hardman. Stay safe, and in the words of the Bard himself, the lunatic, the lover, and the poet are of imagination all compact. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.